our topic is older and happier. Yeah, and you are welcome to enter into the room and talk with us about that. We have done a talk in the Integral Conference in Hungary about getting older, which we called integral aging, because we want to find a different way of how we get older. No, we have these paradigms that we are maybe not so good anymore, not so smart anymore, and
not so economically productive.
Depends on what generation.
Not very good consumers because our income isn't so high.
Yeah.
So just kind of time out from
and so
normal life.
We did a survey. We sent out a survey, and some of you, Lowell Ann, you replied to it. And I would like to talk directly about people's the first question for today, because we want to do a series of shows and to discuss that. Please come in and join us. And thank you, Jason, for creating this. It's really very valuable.
Really good. So what the question we wanted to talk about today was, when you think of older people, does it come to mind that they are worth less, they're less productive?
Less worth, let's say.
Less worth.
Worth less altogether.
Worth less, well, that's a little heavy. Are they slower? Are they less healthy, etc.? Less. What are these big changes? What do you think?
Here she is. Hey, Lowell Ann. I see you.
Yes.
Hi. This is great.
Yeah.
And so we had some responses between that is a completely private thing, and some people said this is really a public issue and that needs to be addressed. And we have many others which we could read during the talk. But first, I would like you, who is present, to say your ideas about what is it? Are we really less all the time less, or is there something which maybe is more?
More? Wow. A voice from the wilderness. More.
Okay. Well, as you may remember, I guess, Mark, you sort of reacted to what I said. I believe that there's a kind of a stereotype that is, and I must admit, when I was younger, I probably adhered to it as well. I remember talking about old fogies and whatever when I was younger. So I guess as we get older, we get wiser and a lot less judgmental, maybe. I don't know. But I guess my own approach is that it's all about the way we think about things. I mean, the way we think about ourselves is going to be a determinant as to what we're able to do. And I suppose somebody might say that I'm rationalizing here. I don't know, but I find that as I get older, my interests change a great deal. And I don't know whether those change in interests have to do with change in abilities or not. I don't know. But I certainly find myself, whereas there was a time when I really loved going to the gym and doing aerobics and all of that. Well, it sort of doesn't interest me anymore. However, it's very important to me to remain active and to exercise, and so I do a different kind of exercise now. So I don't know. Maybe that's my example of what might be a rationalization. I don't know, but I think as I get older, my interests have changed a great deal. However, the one thing that has not changed is my desire to learn new things.
Good.
I mean, in my own work and my business and everything, I mean, it's important to me to stay on the leading edge. Mm-hmm. So I don't, and I've seen that is, especially in the world of technology, for a long time, you know, you heard comments like, well, if you want to learn how to do something, ask a 12-year-old. Well, sorry. You know, I've been doing all this stuff since the early 90s, you know, and I'm still learning new things and trying out new things, etc. So, but I sort of think that as the boomers are moving and getting older, I'm noticing that there is a bit of a change in stereotypes.
Yeah. I hear an echo. Is it possible? Can you try with headset? So.
Yes, I can. It'll take me a minute.
Yeah. When you mute yourself in the meantime, then we could answer to that. Mm-hmm. Would be nice on the left corner. Yeah. I think two things come to mind. The one thing is when we were young, the society considered people of 50 quite old and of 60 really old. And after retirement, you were sort of meant to be maybe still grandfather, grandmother, but you were really considered to rest, to not do anything anymore. And this was a standard. Mm-hmm. And people did that. And this leads me to the other thing, what you said, the beliefs. We are full of beliefs. And when the overall belief is that with 60 you are old, or with 70 you are old, or even with 90. I mean, we saw a 100-year-old woman. What did she do? Tennis. She played tennis.
Tennis.
So this is one thing, that we have this conviction that when you believe in things, then they really are like they are. Mm-hmm. You know, we know that by studies. And I wanted to name. I could put it in the chat afterwards. We lately saw 2.5-hour talk by Bruce Lipton, where he, with science, really showed you how beliefs influence us. And also physiologically, it was about illnesses. Mm-hmm. And so that illnesses at the end don't exist. Except when you cut off your arm, you know, then you probably better go to a doctor and let it be fixed together. But when it's about diabetes or high blood pressure and things, that they have nothing to do with what we think today, that you have to insert chemicals, but that it is dependent on beliefs. I have to find it, and later I put it in. It was so illuminating. And he is a scientist. He was a professor in Stanford and somewhere else, you know, and he has left his job because he said he cannot teach anymore what I don't believe in anymore. I mean, it's just what medical students learn is just wrong, you know, and so...
and he's going out on a limb, but he really supports what he's talking about with good, solid science.
And twice he talked about aging too, and he said exactly what you say. Mm-hmm. When you believe you are old, you are old. Mm-hmm. Independent of what age. There are 30-year-old people who think they are old. You know, a father of a childhood friend, he was 45 and he was old. And as soon as he was in retirement, I think with 55 or something, and he died immediately because he was old. So it is not depending on age, let's say.
This is a really insidious part of it. We get plenty of feedback from society in general that we may not be, you know, all we used to be. And my goodness, let's put them on the shelf, keep them alive and feed them, and you know, eventually they're going to die. But we absorb this information ourselves and we believe it until just a very few months ago. I was jokingly, so to speak, when people had a Facebook birthday, I would say, you know, at your age, I've learned the secret is that you don't have to count every birthday. You can just every 2, maybe every 3, so you get more used to getting older that way,
I quite often say, start counting backwards. Start going the other way.
Yeah. And I'm thinking, this is a horrible way to think. It's just so insidious. It's just like saying, I'm nothing. I'm getting less and less and less.
And we don't want to get older, no? And so we are refusing a state of our lives, a stage of our lives, which can be very productive. And I have called it
very long.
also older and happier. And there are studies around that I think 80% of older people find that they has never been as happy as now. And I really can agree. They say as long as you are still concerned with the family and with earning a lot of money to buy a house, to buy blah, 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 you have all this pressure. And then when the family is out of house, you are sort of free. And that's exactly...
And the house is too big.
And the house is too big, like ours. We don't know what to do with this house here. Yeah. Anyway. We invite you to come for holiday.
Oh, yeah. Fill up our house. We have so many beds. Yes. And the electricity usually works.
Yeah. Except no, at the moment we have 5 people here, but there can be up to 30 people. Sure. So that's...
wow.
And it's definitely too big for us too. And beginning to be a little bit talking about aging. There is a guy here with us, and we ask him to cut the grass because the grass has to be cut because soon it will be all dry, and then there's the danger of fire very high. So it's not only a cosmetic thing to cut the grass, but really to do it. And I did it 20 years with the heavy machines. I did it, and you know what? Now I don't like to do it anymore. I know I could, but even when I was 35, I was exhausted afterwards. Mm-hmm. And, I don't want to do that anymore. So I prefer to pay somebody to do that.
Yeah. This 23-year-old is just...
That might be a difference with age, but also different of interest. You said it's a different of interest. Mm-hmm. Before, I wanted to know if I can do these things, if I can build a kitchen. I did also the tiles on the floor, and I did a whole lot of things which normally men do. I had to demonstrate that I'm able to do, and that I could do all this in the countryside, all the machines. I could do everything. Mm-hmm. Need to do that anymore.
Yeah, and if you do it once or twice, that's really enough. You've proved yourself. You can do it. Yeah. Now, do I have to do it? That's another question.
So, Lowell Ann, happier. Mm-hmm. In which way are you happier now?
Mm-hmm.
Happier in a sense that I don't feel the same kind of stress that I once did, and as I think back now, the stress in my work, it was kind of related to what you just said. It was about proving yourself. Mm-hmm. I can do this, and to move up the corporate ladder and all of that. That was very. I went through some periods that were very stressful. So I really don't experience a great deal of stress today. And part of that is because I've built in a certain amount of flexibility in my life, and left spaces so that there's an option to be spontaneous when I wish to. So if you think about the source of stress for people, it's usually about the sense of lack of control. Mm-hmm. And once I set up my life in such a way that I have control, then the stress went away. I'm living in a place that I love. I've made local friends that I love. My family is not too far away, so I get to see them when I, not always when I wish to, but I see them fairly often. I'm doing something, you know, an online business that I'm just having a ball doing. What else is there?
So I'm wondering, do you encounter moments when you have fear of getting older, or if other people say, you in your age, what do you want, or something like this?
I'll tell you, the one big fear I have is living out my last days in an institution.
Yeah. That's pretty universal, actually.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do contract work for a local senior, like a complex care facility. It's especially for Chinese descent people. And I've been doing that now for 4 or 5 years, just 1 day a week. And so I see intimately every day what living in an institution does to people. So I think, but I also think that as boomers begin to move into that age group, that those institutions are going to have to change their ways in a big way.
Exactly, and this is a little bit our intent to gather people to brainstorm how it could be different, you know, and then engage people who have the possibility to create something different, let's say, or co-create something different. These are the very, very beginnings, and I'm very grateful for who is here listening. And you came in, Christina. Come in if you like to. And there is somebody else that has a huge age on red background. Come in too, and share with us what you think.
Yeah. And one thing that I get excited about is that for the past generation or two, old people have just had to accept what was available for them, you know, and that was, this is it, you know, take it or what, you know, and the what meant nothing very good at all. But we are going to live a long time. My mother made it to 100, you know, and I'm realizing that the ages from 60 to 100, when people are talking about, you know, working less and so forth, that's 40 years, and that's longer than I work for a living. You know? It's a huge chunk of life possible ahead, and we may well live to over 100. And so we have a chance to design our own older age rather than take what's available from the very meager inventory on the shelf.
Well, I honestly think that our concept of retirement has changed over the years, and as I look at it, I think it is partially due to industrialization and urbanization. Because I mean, I remember when I was younger, visiting people on a farm here, where there were 3 generations living on that farm. And the old Gramps, he would sit in the dining room. He was in his 80s by this time. He would sit in the dining room and snooze every once in a while, etc. But then he would get up, and this was potato farming, and go down and work for several hours during the day, you know, maintaining the potato barrels and whatnot. I mean, it was people. I think in the rural sense or in the farming sense, people didn't stop. They just did what they could. And I think that industrialization did that. And there were concepts of, you know, you've got to move the older people out to make room for the younger. And I mean, those things came in after the wars that we experienced, etc. But I think that as time goes on, I certainly don't ever see myself retire, you know, in the traditional sense of not doing anything.
Yeah, this would be
Well,
boring.
that sounds like a life of utter boredom, and that what a horrible thing to subject yourself to.
Yeah,
and
like
no wonder
here,
people, only last 2 or 3 or 4 years in
after
retirement. If they
You know,
buy
here
that.
in Italy, the old men are all sitting around on certain places, all men, and playing cards, and this is not. I actually was together with an Italian man who was 20 years older, and that was one of the reasons why I separated, because I don't want an old man who has no interest in life except of playing cards and chatting. But I wanted to go here to Michael's comment. He says, with all the trials and tribulations I've survived, I'm actually looking forward to getting older. Is saying to you, but my independence is something I consider precious and dear to me. So I completely agree. What I see a little bit, and this is what is bothering to me, and this is also one of our responses to the questions. We are getting into a period where younger people are less. We are almost half to half, and so the retirement funds are getting smaller and smaller. And I myself, I will have very, very little pension. So this is a little bit how to survive. This is the only question I have for older age. How the financial thing can be that we can live in a good way and get the help we need, can afford it, to be free, for not to have to be a victim of an institution or something, because, for instance, my mother, before she died, she had a good pension because my father made it to be re-elected as a mayor, and so she had really a good pension, and so she could have somebody who came in the morning, somebody who brought her food, somebody who kept her company a little bit, and the nurses who came in the evening, and until she died, she was in her own home. But you need money to do that. Mm-hmm. So this is my personal preoccupation,
and it is a social preoccupation. Our first issue right here. The person is writing who filled out our survey. The biggest issue in developed nations with declining birth rates is that half of us will be over 50 soon, and we are underfunded for retirement as a society, with fewer younger workers able to support the older ones. This is a very depressing situation if we don't have a large retirement fund, and it's a big issue for society. Massive public issue that's being swept under the rug.
And Mark before said in the election campaign, is anybody talking about that?
No.
It's been on the radio here, on our CBC radio, Canadian broadcast. Mm-hmm. Actually, last week there was an interview with two people who were, somebody was late 60s and the other person was in his 70s, and they were both still working. Mm-hmm. And the interviewer was basically exploring the idea, what is this about? Isn't it awful that people have to continue to work into their senior years? And I'm sitting there listening to this and saying, well, one of the characters that was being interviewed, he had to work in order to maintain this incredible big lifestyle. So, as time goes on, if our families leave home, what do we need that great big house for? So, there is a need to adjust the way that we work, that we live. I think it's liberation to simplify. Mm-hmm. So if you can simplify what your physical needs are, then if maybe you still do need to work. So what's wrong with that? What else would you do?
But I would like to make a little bit discernment here. If you work, for instance, people work very hard physically, and then have to work in this rhythm up to 70 and later, this is not right either. I think we need to have a way that we still work, but the things which we want to do and which we can do best, and not just for survival, do something which is against physiological needs. Because I think personally, the only thing which gets older so far, at least a little, is the body. Which we cannot really completely avoid. No, so far we don't have the ever-living pill.
But we will.
No,
yeah, we will.
Even the mindset. I don't think in our lifetime we'll come there to decide not to die. So the body will decline a little bit, but depends how much and how intensely. That depends on us probably. But that we can have the choice to do a different work. As you said, you do now online. I try to create something online because, as I said, I don't want to go anymore outside and cut the grass and dig the ground and things like that.
Or drive to Rome to teach
Or drive
music.
to Rome to teach singing and voice. I don't like that either anymore because it's, 1 hour and a half going and then back. And so these things change. But the willingness to do something is ever greater, I think, because it's only the question to find the right thing and be allowed to do it. I have a friend, for instance, we should go in pension here with 60. And when I was 59, I thought, next year I get some money. And then I went there when I was 60. They changed it to 67. From 1 year to the other. So 7 years longer you have to wait. And a friend of mine, she has the same situation, but she has to wake up every morning at 4 to 5. And then she has to inspect post offices. And she has, even in winter when it's snow, she has to drive there to be there when the post offices open. And sometimes she has to do 100 kilometers and more. And she says, I cannot do that anymore. It's too much. I want to do something else. I mean, it's a question if she could ask for that and do something for that. But just to pretend that the person in older age has the same rhythms and the same, let me say, how is it? The stability and when I worked here, I got up at 5 o'clock in the country, and I went to bed at 10, and I worked all the time. Now I couldn't do that anymore. I wanted to say that. What is this? Perseverance? No, well,
I don't know
what the body can do.
Stamina.
If you're young. Stamina?
I don't know.
Stamina is a good word.
Yeah, okay. So this effectively, I think, changes. And we have to adapt to that. Otherwise, we kill ourselves, But how do we get that in society? That it is accepted that we do work, that we want work, but in a different rhythm and maybe different things. And, we can do volunteer work all the time and nobody wants to pay us. And that's not right either. So how can we do that?
Yeah.
Suggestions from the watchers.
Well, yeah, right. We don't have...
Work smarter, not harder, says Michael. This is good.
Okay.
Perseverance and routine, adjustments. Yeah, these things. You're right.
Perseverance.
Perseverance. And I'm really very persevere, you say?
Perseverance.
Following through, when I want to do a thing, I do it. And it can take 20 years. And I still...
And any day now, you'll have it.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, but these
but there's some really interesting research happening. I was noticing something I watched recently where they were talking about brain health. And one of the things that stood out for me in that was that exercise creates new brain pathways. And so the idea of going home and sitting around and sitting in front of sitting all the time and not having to do anything physical is not a good thing for us.
You know, as you know, singing is one of the best things to keep young. So, and you know, even which is even better, but in older age, let's say over 15 becomes difficult to learn, is playing the piano on first sight, or even worse or better, it depends, the organ, where you also have to direct the feet directly from the written music. This is the most challenging thing for the brain to accomplish. And who's doing that, I think they have a healthy mind until the end.
That's what I'm doing right now. I got myself a keyboard, found a program online that teaches you chording, etc. I do read music, of course, but that's what I'm doing. I'm playing with it. It's great fun.
Great.
Wonderful.
And when the technology is better, I will create a choir for brain health. Something like that.
Brain heads.
Brain health.
Brain health.
To keep the brain young.
Okay.
At the moment, it is still too much delay, so it's difficult to do it at the same time to sing. But this is really an intention for mine, because there is my first expertise in the singing and then the voice stuff. So hopefully.
Well, over here in Victoria, there's a lady who started this choir that I'm in. It's called the Getting Higher Choir. And right now, there are about 300 members of that choir, and it's non-auditioned. And you have a choice of 3 nights a week that you can attend all of them or one of them or whatever. And at the end of that session, there is a performance. And the music is a huge wide variety of music, traditional, popular, everything. And one of the things that's really interesting is these two people that run our choir, they have started something that they call the Ubuntu, and they're teaching people how to run a community choir on the same model that we're doing. And people are coming from all over the world to learn how to run these community choirs, and they're popping up all over the place. And as I look around the room in the choir that I'm in, it's kind of right. It goes right from people in their 30s right up to their 90s. And it's non-auditioned, and the idea is to promote the concept that anyone can sing.
Yeah, and this is a little bit complicated in Europe, in Germany, where there's so much the ideal of being right and doing everything perfect. And when I had a choir, it was for me very important that it was fun singing. And I also had people who were out of pitch, and I slowly taught them to find the pitch. But I could sort of hear away for a while and not be disturbed, because for me, singing is an expression of your inner, and it gives you out. And if it is right, this is good if it's right. And hopefully at the end it's right. But if they say, oh, this is wrong, then these people go bad. I had a person who I taught, and I showed him that he can sing. And it depends how, and that he needs to have a sort of therapeutic approach to singing. And what did he? He went to the next choir, next church choir where he lives, and the choir director said, "Oh, you are out of pitch. Go home." And so he was boom. The work I did to bring him up and believe in himself was immediately because he was here a week. In a week, I can begin to do something, but it is normally at least a year it takes until people are able to sing in the right pitch. No, so
I'll have to tell you what my choir director calls. She, I'm getting an echo. Woo. She talks about composting. To learn how to sing is to develop your listening skills, and so she finds somebody who says they can't sing. You put them right in the middle of a group of people who can sing, and eventually that person learns to listen, and eventually they are singing.
Absolutely. That's when I worked with these people. Yeah. I realized that they don't take the time to listen, not even. They're so in stress that they think they have to bring something out, and they didn't even hear that sound of another one has done. So how can they be at the same? They just jump from the cliff, and this is the main thing, the listening. And this is also bringing us to a big question. The listening is so important in life. No, it's not only for that. It's in everything. And coming back to our older age, listen to ourselves, what we need and what we want, and where we are conditioned by what society says we should want or be or what. How far we have taken it over, how far we are judging other people by their age, by their. I see it all the time. That I see. Oh, she has maintained a good aspect for her age. This is ageism, guys. And,
well, you don't look that old.
Yeah, you don't. So this is really ageism, to judge people by age and how they should look like and how they should behave and how they should be. And we do it every day. If everybody listening is looking back.
I find it embarrassing when somebody says that.
Yeah, but if you are sincere, we do it too. Maybe we stop ourselves and say, oh, we don't want to do that anymore. It is so ingrained in our culture that old people are somehow they should be different. They should be young. They should
the professional photos we had taken of ourselves about 2 years ago, I really liked them because I looked young. They didn't show the wrinkles. They were kind of fuzzed out,
Yeah. And if you think about how much it is abused in our society to get money, if all women would accept that they have wrinkles, how less cosmetics could they? I mean, cosmetic industry could close, and millions, billions, I don't know what of dollars would be free for something better.
Yeah, but by the same token, a lot of people would lose a job too.
That's true, but they could have other
there
jobs.
might be better things to do.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
One of the other things that I think is really, really critical for a person as they advance in age, that is community. And I hate to harp back on my choir experience, but the members of that choir, a lot of us have been members of the choir for a long time. There's always new people coming and some people going, but we get to sing at all kinds of community events, and we get to do a lot of things together. We have sectionals where, we have a potluck and everybody comes and we practice our parts and so forth. And that's one of the things that I think that as people age, they have a tendency to isolate themselves. And I think that's a very dangerous thing to do.
What is the reason, in your opinion, why people isolate themselves?
Well, I've heard some people say that all their friends died.
Okay.
Well, it does happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then are they too shy to go out and create new friends? Is there this insecurity?
I don't know what it is. Because I don't feel it. I mean, I'm very connected to my community. So, but I mean, we notice that with people online. You know, there are people who will come and listen in and do whatever online, but are very reticent to sort of get out there and get to know people. I mean, obviously you folks are not like that, and obviously I'm not either, because we're on two opposite ends of the world, and yet we've gotten to know each other, and we got to know each other online.
Online, because we have our community mainly online, or when we go to conferences. There we meet the people. But here around, we have very few friends. We meet, once a month, but there is no connecting activity. You know?
Outside of eating and drinking.
Outside of eating and drinking, So it's not really very great, the connectivity we have in person.
No.
So in online, and there are many.
But I really feel that that sense of community is got to be there in some way. And I think, or at least I've observed a lot of people who tended to socialize mainly with the people they worked with. And then once they retire from that particular job or that particular workplace, then they don't have any friends. They don't have a social circle anymore. And I mean, the way to do that is to well, I mean, there are lots of ways to do it, through volunteer work or through an interest like singing or curling or whatever it is that you love to do. But somehow or other, there seems to be a disconnect as soon as somebody retires, and I think that's something that we all have control over.
Yeah, and which has to be really seen as that we need to create different relationships and not only colleagues, or cultivate them after.
Well, when we're in our work life, the society is given to us. They're the people we work with, and we have to,
You have still contact with somebody you worked with. One guy came even here and see us.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's true. I have a couple of people like that I'm still in touch with. But it's just a couple of people.
Yeah, and I never have had a work life in this sense with colleagues. And I was always, sort of a single. Yeah, I had students, but the students sort of fall away. It was a big disappointment at the beginning that you are together 3, 4, 5 years or even longer with the student. You see them every week and then
gone. Yeah.
Disappeared.
I spent 20 years in Canada's Arctic and loved it while I was there, and left. And one of the ways that I've been able to stay in touch with all those people that I knew in the North, and lots of them are not still in the North. I mean, they've kind of moved to other places, etc., is through Facebook. It's been the greatest way to stay in touch with all those old friends.
Yeah,
I don't like Facebook.
She doesn't like Facebook.
Well, I mean, I understand that. I mean, there are aspects that I'm not crazy about either. But that was one of the ways that it was the one way to stay in touch with a lot of people that you are far away from.
Yeah.
I'm getting into Facebook a little bit because I've understood
reluctantly.
Yeah, very reluctantly. But I understand that the people, when I post a photo there, everybody is, the likes come in. On Google Plus, not so much.
Not so much.
because there I don't post normally things which don't make, which have not a certain level, no?
A contribution of some sort, or an education or whatever. I know. Well, that's why we both like Google Plus, but not everybody does.
No.
Well, the cats get a good review.
The cats get a cat today. Okay, we are older and happier. And we hope you who are watching too. And we have a Facebook group, where we were talking about it.
Yes, we do.
And where is it? I didn't prepare that.
Didn't you?
I think this is the Facebook group. bit.ly/integral aging with E after the G, because we are using the British.
Oh, yes, age.
So if you join us, this is the beginning of what we want to do. We want to collect people experiences and find out what we need, what we want, and then find a way how we can realize that, bring it into being. And everybody is welcome to collaborate. Otherwise, we always have to talk with each other.
The only requirement is that people be getting older. They're the only ones who are allowed to participate.
So even a baby can come? No, they cannot speak.
Well,
they're getting older.
They've got to use a keyboard.
Oh, yeah, they have to use a keyboard. Yeah. Okay. So as soon as you can use a keyboard and a video camera, come in and join us. And keyboard for Facebook, join us in the Facebook group. And we also prepare a website where we want to have an archive of articles, of videos, like the video I named before. When you have some, you please post it too, and really create an archive, but in a website, not on Facebook, because also Facebook, but not only Facebook, because they can close from one day to the other. The website can stay. So I will take everything which is posted on Facebook and bring it over in the website and create an archive of the topic, getting older, getting happier, the possibilities we have, which probably many of us have never considered really, and working also on the false beliefs we have about aging and about we are getting senile. So we want to create a database about that.
Yes, and I want to underline. Yes, I want to underline that what I said about all you have to do is be getting older. I mean that because we're not discriminating against people of any age, and young people get discriminated against in ways also. We have expectations of each section of life. People are supposed to be this way at this age and that way at that age. And we're past that, folks, at least in this post-industrial age, We try
to be aware of these things and spread awareness, and you're invited to collaborate.
Yep.
I have a local friend here who works, who's a retired MD, and she gave a presentation to our networking group this last week, and her parting question was, have you made plans for your 100th birthday yet?
Lowell Ann, if you are in touch with people who do talks like this, go there with a video camera, post it on your really because we need to collect these things. We don't need to wait for some authority to do that for us.
No, this is our job.
It's our job to collect these things. And there are many good ideas out there, often not recorded, and this is a shame. Okay, folks.
Okay.
Thank you, and we see next week or in 2 weeks. We don't have decided yet how we. And please come and join us, so we are much more inspired to do it more often. Okay.
It really helps to have someone to talk to besides her. You know what I mean?
But I'm very grateful that you came. It really. Thank you.
Well, it was fun.